Hi everyone, James Braithwaite here, and we're at, once again, the Yorkville Physiotherapy offices in Toronto. And we're going to talk today about how some movement patterns in the lower extremity of your legs, how some movement patterns and postures can contribute to common types of knee pain. Okay? So let's go take a look at a couple things. Come over here, I want to show you something. First of all, we're going to take a look at a common standing pattern called, and walking pattern for that matter, called knee valgus. And knee valgus is this, is when you stand in that sort of knock-knee type position, and actually you wouldn't believe the number of people that stand in this type of a position. And they don't, obviously this is an exaggerated version, but people do this subconsciously and subtly without noticing it, and it's a really common contributing position to common types of knee pain. And how is it that you might sort of notice if you're the type of person that has this problem? You look at a few different things. One is a walk, another is a jump, and a third is stepping down, say stepping down a stair or something like that. So let's talk about that. First, the walk. People who have a valgus-y type set of mechanics tend to walk more in a line, right? More in a line like this, like the model walk, right? Like that. And they get that sort of knee-in type position from that. It's much more common than you might think. Take a look around the next time you're walking in the street. Notice how many people have this walking in a line type pattern versus a walking hip distance type pattern, which is much more stable and sort of nicely aligned mechanical set of positions. The second thing to look at is the jump. So take a look at a hop and see how you land. Do you land in this sort of valgus-y type position, or do you land in a nice hip abducted type position and knees out type position? This is healthy. This is not. A lot of people do that. Imagine playing volleyball or basketball, all the loads that go through your body in those types of sports, landing 50, 100 times in a game in a valgus-y type position. That puts a lot of poor forces through your knees and can really contribute to knee problems. Let's take a look at a third thing that you might notice. Let's switch it up here. Get yourself on a step and watch your step down. Do you step down nice and wide, or do you step down once again in a collapsed type position? Imagine walking down 5 sets of stairs, each step like that. Again, very common place where this sort of valgus type position can come out. Now, what is it that contributes to this valgus position? Well, there's lots of things, but two of the more common ones are hip weakness and foot pronation. And what's that? Well, hip weakness is fairly obvious. Your gluteus medius, your glutes, your butt is not engaging enough, not keeping you out wide. It's the butt that actually keeps that knee out, that sort of femur out rotated, and the knees in that sort of nice non-valgus-y type position. If they're weak, you're going to collapse in. Weak glutes, collapse in. The other thing that happens sometimes is with the feet, you'll get that sort of classic flat-footed type position. So it's this, right? This versus this. So the people who have no space between their arch and the floor, that flat foot, that, as you see as I go into that flat foot and I look at my knees, and I'm automatically in that valgus position. If I come out of the flat foot, give myself a nice arch, I'm already in a much nicer knee position. So those are two of the areas that we commonly look at to try and correct this sort of knee valgus-y type position that contributes to so many common knee pains. So, what are 2 exercises you might consider? This is just a superficial once-over, but hip weakness, start with clamshells. This is what I call the, this is like your Suzanne Somers or your, who's that other famous fitness gal from the 70s? What is it?
Jane Fonda?
Jane Fonda, that's it, Jane Fonda. It's the Jane Fonda exercise. So you're lying on the ground like this, right? And your knees are in a crook position, so 90-degree bend there, and you're just rotating up like this. And you're gonna feel it boom right there in your glutes, in your butt. I'm gonna do 10 of those. You can put an elastic band between your legs. Here, let me show you that. I got one right here. Tickle chunk. So you take an elastic, put that around your knees, and there, you've got resistance. And this is actually surprisingly challenging after a set of 10 of these, and this is a great glute exercise. If you want to get advanced, you can get into things like bridging, right? Bridging like this. And then if you really want to impress everyone, you can go into your one-legged bridge like that, that's a really good stabilizer for your lateral glutes. What do you do for your foot? Well, there's a couple things you might consider. If you're the type of person that that sort of engages in this flat-footed pronated type position, you can do intrinsic foot exercises that really help you to develop the arch, and that's again something that you can talk to a physiotherapist about, but what it really boils down to is trying to bring these 2 points together. So just really working on that very subtle movement, but you can do this on your own at home. The trick is to try and bring this point and this point closer together and raise the arch without curling the toes. You're not allowed to curl your toes, so when you've got the movement on, you should be able to still tap your toes. They're not really bound into the floor or engaged during this movement. You can also complement that with athletic taping or even orthotics, but again, that's something that you can discuss with your therapist. So there's a couple of things to think about. If you have knee pain, take a look at the knee mechanics. Are you the type of person that holds a knee valgus? If so, examine the hip strength, examine the foot positioning. Until next time, I'm James at Yorkville Physiotherapy.